Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terraplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag-grown technology and support from Terraplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terraplex Ag. Visit TerraplexAg.com.
Every year, you have a choice.
My name is Joseph Hurst. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and I'm a part of the PMBA program. I currently work as the Director of Sales at Stony Creek Hotels in Johnston, Iowa, and I chose the Iowa State MBA program because it just made perfect sense. About 2 years ago, I started this wonderful program, and I couldn't imagine not having done it. What has helped the most balance work, life, school, has been the people I'm in class with. It's great to go through questions, problems, study for tests, and it just makes the whole class so much easier. As a working professional thinking about doing an MBA program, I get night classes aren't everybody's dream. I get after a long day of work, you may not want to go do more, but it's worth it. You're gonna learn a lot, not just from the professors in the program, but from the other students. They come from all walks of life. They are from different age groups, they're from different companies, they're from all kinds of different backgrounds, they've got all kinds of different stories. And after 2 years, I've made some of the best friends I've ever made, learned the most I've ever learned, and I can't imagine what we're gonna do after we're done.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
Hello. This is why we need Aiden Wyatt here. If you're watching on the YouTube, I cleaned it up for you on the podcast. You didn't know any difference. My name is Chris Williams. I am joined, as always, by Brent Blum, and we are tired. We are excited. Blum probably doesn't have much of a voice today. It's not going to be an issue for me. Is that you're forbidden to even talk in the press box.
That's right.
We have a lot to get to. In case you hadn't heard, please spread the word. Write a postcard to your loved ones that the varsity football program from the Iowa State University, tell the world they're 7-0. They are ranked 10th in the country after a win over Central Florida on Saturday night, and one of the more definitely historic 10-minute stretches in the history of Iowa State athletics. I would say. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there. We're going to break it all down for you, all the emotion, some X's and O's, everything that we do here on Williams and Blum is always presented by our friends at Mechdyne, the Mechdyne Corporation. We are in the Wild Rose Casino Studios. How are you today, Brent?
I'm everything, literally, like everything all at once. That's what I am today.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's just, that was just incredible. I mean, it was indescribable there, that stretch of you go from, man, here it comes, to wait a second, to, oh my gosh, we're going to do it. And that was as shocked and surreal of experience I think I've had at Jack Trice. Honestly, the K-State game and Bill Snyder's last game was up there. But really since Oklahoma State in 11, where it was just, Iowa State was out. They were done. And so much that was riding on that game and what has happened the past 2 months was like the season was over, but you just felt like that the cards were tumbling down. And then Rocco with a legendary drive that will never be forgotten. I mean, that was the Rocco Beck drive, and for a while there, I was just sitting in this. I couldn't move. It was like just elation / exhaustion all at the same time.
Yeah. A lot of the all-time Cyclone letdown tweets were coming my way. There's a lot to talk about with the football game, and we'll get into all that. But, man, you talk about a situation where, Brent, they didn't play well at all, really, in any any phase of the football game, which is still weird when you look at their offensive statistics. And there's a lot of Iowa State teams we'd kill to have a stat line like that, and then but it didn't feel like they were ever in a rhythm. Your let's just take Rocco Beck as a microcosm for the game.
He was.
Where maybe his worst game, but there were pockets where it was his best game, where you're like, right? Like he sailed 2 or 3 different passes that were touchdowns. But
he threw basically 2 pick sixes. One was not his fault.
Correct. But it will go down as his fault. But that you're correct. It was a drop and it went through the hands.
And that's the other thing, C-Dub. There were 5 or 6 drops for Iowa State.
Very uncharacteristic. Receivers.
I think there was 2 or 3 all year.
Well, so like Rocco, you could argue it was his worst game, and then I would argue, well, was it or was it his best? And the way he let him back, and then without his legs, you're not in the position to even do that. And then you could argue like how horrible the defense was because they couldn't tackle and all this stuff. But then I would argue it was like, wow, man, they really bowed up in certain key situations. I thought Rylan Barnes was one of the best players on the field on that side, right? Like, so it's not all bad. At the end of the day, we'll get to the emotion and everything. I give Central Florida a lot of credit. I will say I wasn't wrong, by the way, because in this sense, I thought this would be a good game. I did. Yeah. I thought all week that I didn't like the matchup particularly, but I didn't think it would be like it was. I thought Iowa State would win comfortably. I didn't think this was going to be some 25-point blowout the way we have seen Iowa State with a lot of these Big 12 teams.
Yep.
I took my eye off the ball in scouting them, though, mainly because I thought the game last week would go how last night did. Remember that. I was worried about Iowa State's defense stopping the run against West Virginia and the second level of the defense against West Virginia. And I think as an analyst watching this, I probably took too much stock into that West Virginia game. And I don't want to say I looked past Central Florida. I probably overestimated the culture aspect of Central Florida.
Totally.
Yep. Right.
I give
their
Gus
talent is really high. That's a talented football team.
I thought the exact same thing. That those guys looked the part. And I thought their offense and defensive lines were the best Iowa State has seen this year.
Definitely their defensive line for sure.
They had
for sure
just complete freaks of nature on that side. And then
and real quick, in the NIL world, they're a big dog, right?
Oh, they're spending money. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I mean, they're not Georgia, but they're like that's what I had heard in Vegas was that their defensive line was one of the highest paid units in the Big 12.
Well, and there's a reason why they were picked by a lot of people, including us preseason.
Yeah. Oh, they were one of my teams. Yeah.
To be there. And then all heck went to heck in a handbasket with the quarterback situation. I think it dragged everybody down, but I give them a lot of credit. They didn't even try to throw. They're like, you know what? We can't throw. We know we can't throw. We're not going to try to throw. We're going to run it at you. We're going to run it all day, and it worked. And Iowa State got just enough stops, but I thought the quarterback, he couldn't throw again. But his ability to run, it was the perfect matchup against Iowa State's defense. That is the type of offense that will give Iowa State problems all year long. And their line controlled it up front, and Harvey's a great back. And that running back was just basically the quarterback was basically just a second running back out there.
Oh yeah.
And Iowa State by the end of the game, it was just had 9-10 guys up there like, well, if they throw it, we're going to lose anyway. So let's stop the run. And thankfully, the kid missed a couple throws in the fourth quarter too, because Iowa State had to just send everybody selling out up front because Iowa State's really hurt. And I thought you really saw, and again, I thought Barnes played great. I think Kale, I'm glad Brzezina played. He clearly wasn't 100%. But Iowa State was just a little bit slow to react to that quarterback and that running back. But those are both elite athletes, and I thought Gus had them ready to go. When Iowa State got up 14-7, I thought, okay.
I thought it was over.
Yep, I thought this might get away. But then that pick six for Rocco really changed things. And once UCF took the lead into halftime, you could kind of see UCF go, all right, Let's just suck the clock out.
Absolutely.
Let's run
Yep.
the ball. This game's coming right down. Like if you're an Iowa State fan, you knew at halftime that thing was coming down to the wire because UCF was not going to try and throw it. Against that team, you cannot let them get ahead, and Iowa State did, and that's what created that hectic finish. But I give Iowa State credit for playing tougher for longer, whatever that phrase is. They needed every single second.
Yeah, I was impressed by Malzahn. I know they're 0-4, but we'll play guess the point spreads here in a little bit, but they get BYU at home next week, and if you just look around this league, like the amount of perceived upsets that are happening, which is, we've said that a lot on this show, that we just don't believe there's a huge difference between the best team or whoever the best team is and whoever the worst team is. And we saw that yesterday in this league. Other point I would make too, I've not watched the game back yet, but I did. When I'm in the press box, I usually get to see every play 3 times, which is great. I watch it live. I have it on a computer, which is the third thing, and then I have the TV in front of me, so it's about a 7-8 second delay. And I have Iowa State spotting them basically 21 points, the 2 pick sixes, and then I would even say the Cam Smith. It was kind of a whiff.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying the 80-yard run.
Yeah, 80-yard, the Harvey run.
Yeah. And that was an example of when you're, when you're playing your safeties up so much, it's a little bit like, I would compare it to if you've ever watched an 8-man football game where once you get through the line, you're just gone.
Yep.
When your safeties are creeped up like that and one guy whiffs, a guy like Harvey's just gone. Right?
And the quarterback.
There's just nobody else in the back end. And it was such a big whiff in that one spot where even if you just slow him down, somebody else is going to close in, and that's like a 13, 14-yard run. Instead, I thought Iowa State's defense in the first half was not even that bad, believe it or not. I just thought that they were not executing in certain spots, like just some bad tackling in that first drive. There's no doubt about it. I thought that they would close in, and they really didn't. And that it was a huge stop at the end of that football game. And then, Brent, it sets up to what will be remembered as one of the great drives. And Rocco Beck just kind of put the team on his back at the end of the game.
Yep, that was the Rocco drive. But it really was the Rocco quarter. Actually, the last half of the third quarter, too. He made some unbelievable escapes to keep plays alive going the other way in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, where it's like, yeah, he played poorly, but how many pass completions did he have where he had to avoid 3 dudes in the backfield to hit his third option?
The fourth down to Higgins, the scrambling heave to Asama. I mean, Iowa State just it makes you wonder, like, the whole season of destiny type thing. But these are the types of things. I was actually Ryan Russillo, who I really respect. Russillo's used to be on ESPN. Now he's got his own podcast. He said Iowa State has a little bit of TCU from 2 years ago's vibes going right now. In that they got,
good point.
They're just. And I would argue with him, well, this was really the only game, well, Iowa too, that Iowa State escaped in. But seat up, you're now talking, Iowa State is 7-0. In 4 of those wins, 4 of them, Iowa State's been behind by 10 or more. That's insane. Like, that doesn't happen. And there are a variety of ways. This was obviously the closest call. But Iowa State just finds ways to win. They're tough. And then Rocco is the Max Duggan. Like, he was just going to will Iowa State. He was not going to be denied in that drive. He was hurt, too. He was pretty banged up. You can see it right before he throws the one interception.
I thought he got hurt.
Yes.
I thought he had, like, a concussion when he threw that first pick six.
Yep. I watched the play before. He got rolled up on and kneed in the head, and he was definitely not 100%. Higgins was hurt. Obviously, Hansen didn't play in the second half. All these guys, Bramer got hurt. And then, Iowa State was rotating in the guard at a couple of different times. So this bye week comes at a perfect time, but it's one of those games where you don't know how Iowa State won it, but you'll remember it for a long, long time. Cross sport-wise, remind me a little bit of, that game against Oklahoma when Iowa State got down 24 and just went on a crazy run, or the one against Iowa that same year. So pretty surreal stuff, and man, I was glad I got to witness that. That was a one-of-a-kind moment.
What was the feel? Because I did notice I was really disappointed in one particular RV Village legend, Chrombaugh.
He
He
called
got
himself out for it.
super pissed and left the game with 4 minutes to play. And then I saw Chrombaugh this morning, and it looked like he was just walking the walk of shame. Like, because we're all like, I felt like, that Vince McMahon gif where he's like strutting.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like because I didn't drink yesterday.
You lucky
know?
son of a gun. The rest of us are
Yeah.
just mainlining
No,
hydration.
I was just drinking pre-workout all day. So I felt great. And then I see Chrombaugh this morning and a lot of these other people that left with 4 minutes to play, and they just look so dejected. Like they just completely let down their entire family, everything that they stand for.
I was actually amazed at how few people did leave. That place was still rocking. That drive was literally
I had a lot of people tell me that may be the loudest they've heard it, but I can't tell where I'm at. So that's why I'm asking. What was it like there?
It was. I mean, you felt really for one of the fewer times it felt like the place was like rumbling a little bit. It kind of to me felt like that. You remember LaMarcus Hicks had that pick six against Iowa in 2005. Like that was the type of there was like tremors going on there. So
yeah,
it was. And then the Mr. Brightside song was electric. That was really cool. I thought the students were amazing yesterday. They're clearly all in.
They filled in really early. It was a good look for them. They had a great day.
Yeah, I thought the crowd was great, and people stuck it out. Now, yes, you're going to have people who leave, and I'm sure some of them feel bad. But
I'm just giving Scott shit, but he was taking it pretty well.
I think it was I thought the crowd was great. I thought it really was, and Iowa State doesn't win that on the road.
It's a hard
win that game on the road.
No, it's a hard thing too as a fan when you can't stop the run.
Yeah.
It's a very dejecting thing as a fan.
The interesting part, Cito, if you go through the second half, and it was just a bizarre game. It was one of those bizarre games, like just the play wise. This is when you know it's a goofy, pardon the phrase, but a goofy ass game. Iowa State.
I love how you apologize for that, and then I say some of the things I say on this show.
Iowa State runs 96 plays. 96. That's the most plays Iowa State has run in a game since 2012.
That felt like a long-ass football game.
It was. And
for a team, when you're playing a team that all they did was run, man, it felt like an eternity.
And Central Florida runs 59. A 40-play difference is incredible. And a lot of it's obviously the turnovers and the short fields. But the point I was getting to here, this is what's super interesting to me. If you look at the game log in the second half, it's 2 plays, 70-yard touchdown for UCF, that first drive. Then it's punt, 1 play, 1 yard after the Rocco touchdown. Then punt, interception. So Iowa State really
pretty good.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, not bad. In this defensively, they did a lot better in the second half. Now, to your point earlier, you gave up the one huge play because you're selling out so much trying to contain everything.
That doesn't happen in a normal scheme for Iowa State, and just one guy missed so badly, and Harvey's one of the best running backs. I mean, is he top 10 in college football for sure, right? Like he's got to be. Like
he's super talented. Yeah, he's an NFL
just
guy.
Pure talent. Yeah, for sure.
So I think yes, the defense largely against the run. I mean, you cannot do that and expect to win the game. But it was just a weird setup. And I thought in the second half, Haycock did what he needed to do based on the resources he had. And you're gonna play that game of, oh boy, we could get killed here, but they found a way to figure it out.
Man, Brock Purdy's a turnover machine right now.
Did he throw another one?
Yeah. Jeez. Sorry, we're recording this on a late Sunday afternoon. You got to get 13 some help out there, Kansas City. Come on. Or San Francisco.
He's got no guys. He's down to like me and you at receiver.
Well, now his line's caving on him, and he's getting hit all the time, and jeez. But the narrative will be.
Oh, Rock, he's not elite. He's not elite.
Anyways, back to the Iowa State game. We'll get back to that in just a couple of minutes. I want to thank a couple of our great sponsors who we would not be here without giving you this free content for Cyclone Fanatic. One of them stopped by my camper, Andrew Chaplin. Shout out to Chappie. Got another lead from us earlier this week, which is awesome. If you need a realtor in the area, our guy, Chappie, Andrew Chaplin, will be your guy with Hunziker Realty. Just go up. His last name is spelled Chaplain. Also, shout out.
Hey, you had an extra letter in there?
I did?
Yeah. Chaplin.
Lin. Oh, okay. Where did it? Oh. Thank you for that.
Hey, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, I don't know why my notes have that. Thank you. Sorry about that, Chappie. God bless you. When you buy that house, you need to have it insured from our man Colin Newell at Farm Bureau Financial Services. Colin was not at the game last night. He was ticked off. He had a family wedding, but he did enjoy watching it on the road on the way back, and he was pretty amped up. Farm Bureau Financial Services is where Bloom and I get all of our insurance. Colin Newell, the former Cyclone offensive lineman. Also, our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing, kelderman.com. If you like cool trucks, if you like badass suspensions for those trucks, all that good stuff. If you are a farmer and you need those down corn reels, probably not at this hour. Hopefully you've had a great harvest out there, but I want you to remember our guys at Kelderman Manufacturing in the future. Check them out at kelderman.com today. All right, where else do we go on that particular football game? I think it's just the overall feel for me is there does, chances are, let's be honest, if you watch the Big 12, chances are Iowa State will not go 12-0, or nobody will go 12-0 because of the way the league is playing out. Just chance. You watch BYU, 0-3 BYU, or 0-3 Oklahoma State almost beats 3-0 BYU in the exact same score. Crazy is how it played out compared to the Iowa State Central Florida game.
Yeah, I mean
Texas Tech loses to Baylor, right? We are seeing this league is just it's insane on a week-to-week basis, the type of upsets and the type of shenanigans.
It's exactly what we thought it would be.
Yes, I would
which
agree.
is great.
Yeah.
No, I think there's
the point I'm going to, Brent, is if maybe they do go 12-0 after last night, because right, like it did feel like, and I don't know how spiritual of a man I am or whatever, but it felt like somebody was on Iowa State's side. That's where I leave it.
Well, and I think, there's a difference between being favored in every game, which I still think Iowa State will be favored in every game.
Especially now with Utah's collapse.
And winning said games. I do think Iowa State will be favored. I mean, we can go through it, but they're going to be double-digit favorites against Tech, right around the same for Cincinnati. The Kansas game will be – I think Kansas played well yesterday.
Yeah, that felt like
Houston.
Yeah.
But and then Utah, and then K-State might be pick 'em right now. I mean, I think K-State – it's hard to say BYU and Iowa State aren't playing the best football because they're undefeated. I think K-State's right there, though. To me, it's a three-horse race. It's going to be two of those three that make it to the Big 12 championship, and that game for Iowa State will be super important because, as we all know, BYU already beat K-State. And so I think those three are, and I would be curious, I'll have to pull it up here what the odds are, but it seems that it's a three-horse race. And yes, could Iowa State suffer one loss? Yes, if they beat K-State. If you lose to K-State, you can only have one loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on what happens to K-State and BYU as well. So a lot to play out here. I would not have the standings are almost turned over from what a lot of people thought. I mean, if you think like Oklahoma State, Utah's at the bottom.
Who had Cincinnati at 3?
Arizona's at the bottom. Arizona or Colorado looks good as well. I mean, that's another team you got to at least think about. They got a couple interesting games ahead. So, yeah, it's a crazy league. It's exactly what we wanted. Just as we also thought the Big 12 is not going to get the respect. You're seeing it already, and that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it this week. You cannot. I love the stuff of all the people coming at Iowa State as, oh, they haven't played anybody. Who have they beat? And the best answer is everybody. They've beaten everybody. That's exactly what they have to do. And as long as they do that, it doesn't matter.
We were having a great debate at the at the RV lot on Friday night. Were you rooting for BYU?
I didn't know what to do there.
Yeah.
Honestly. No.
I guess this is our Whiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment. Well, shout out to our friends at Whiffles Hybrids. Plant your independence, plant Whiffles.
At first, no, I wasn't, because I wanted, again, it helps for everybody to get a loss here, specifically when you start talking about tiebreaker scenarios to get to the Big 12. But the big thinker, the big head thought would be you want BYU to be undefeated if you play them in the Big 12 championship game, because then if you're both undefeated, both will probably get in the playoff. Probably.
Correct. I would agree with that.
And that is why it's not the end of the world that BYU won. But I'm still for the more losses for the top half, the better. We want K-State to lose. Like that, get them. We need them to get another loss. And then potentially that game against them Thanksgiving weekend doesn't matter. But again, just win while you can, and it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, and this is just, I don't think I'm being a pessimist. I think I'm being a realist. Some people might call it pessimism. I don't think Iowa State and BYU will go undefeated. Like I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket that they're going to win their next. Both are going to go 5-0 the rest of the way. So that's where I was like, I want Oklahoma State to win this, just to build up a little bit of insurance here.
Yep.
I'm in this for Iowa State in the Big 12 second, right? But you make a great point. If they're both undefeated, I mean, that's best case scenario. I'm just saying, like, that. What are the percentages of that happening?
Not high. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if both end up undefeated.
Yeah, that'd be great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would absolutely sign me up for that right now. I don't think it's going to happen.
Even as jobbed as this system is, if both Iowa State and BYU are undefeated playing for the Big 12, they will both get in the playoff. I firmly believe that.
I think so too, especially now, like when you just look around college football and the amount of losses. I mean, every SEC team has a loss, right? That doesn't matter. In fact, that's only going to strengthen their argument, in my opinion.
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
This nonsense in the SEC of everybody losing to each other is only going to help their own little.
Because now they can just point out how tough their league is and all that good stuff.
It's almost better off to have the Big Ten situation where you've got two teams that are just way better than everybody else. But I digress.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I did want to give a shout out to our friends at Oklahoma and Texas on some good weekends for those folks. The folks in Texas just throwing trash all over the field in their big SEC home game.
Just FYI, they do sell alcohol at Texas.
Just throwing trash everywhere. And then the Gamecocks from South Carolina University roll into Norman and slapped them around a little bit, 35-9. Go Gamecocks. Brent Venables. Too bad you gave him that extension, right? I mean, that's tough.
He's going to get fired. There's no question. And I will.
He's saving that tweet.
Yeah, small celebration. I'm happy for the Oklahoma fans that game started at 11:45 and not at 11 because they were tired of the 11 a.m. kickoffs.
They didn't want those big noon games anymore.
Right, but so they were only down 21-0 by noon at that point, which is good for them.
That's the game we had rolling over at my tailgate. We were watching the Gamecocks. We were fired up about that one.
It made me, because it's just like, this is exactly what we told you guys is going to happen, and now they're basically a Arkansas light.
Well, we should probably give a shout out to Nebraska too.
Yeah.
While we're at it,
and the Hawks.
Good catch. Oh, and the Hawks, yeah. Absolutely. No, really good stuff. Let's get into our Big 12 scores. So Friday night's game was awesome. I mean, what great theater on a Friday night. We both suspected Gundy would have that team ready to go, and he certainly did. Boy, I'd love to scour those Oklahoma State message boards after the defense played on that final drive. I haven't yet, because I don't really want to.
Do they?
God,
Gundy's been able to rescue it a couple times in his tenure.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the beginning of the end in this new era? Will he do a Tony Bennett, type situation? Like, maybe it's not for me. I just wonder.
I don't know. Does Gundy? I like Gundy.
I do too.
Does Gundy have the wherewithal to hang it up?
I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
can Gundy do anything but this? Like, I know, like, Tony Bennett feels like an intellect to me. He's going to sit around and read the Wall Street Journal and drink coffee and probably write a couple books and be an analyst and do all, like, what can Gundy live in a post-football world? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder if Oklahoma State, you can't get rid of him. He's done too much there. There's a lot of parallels.
Iowa.
Yes.
Yeah.
With
It reminds
Gundy
me
and
so much
Ferris.
of Ferentz.
It's
yeah.
It's just different personalities, but it's the same situation. Like, you can't get rid of him. He's done too much. He's won more than pretty much anybody has. But also, if I'm starting a program in this era, I'm not hiring that guy.
No, absolutely not.
And they've really,
and he can't be a coordinator now. He's too egotistical. Like, nobody's
Right.
going to bring him onto their staff.
And the other problem you hear about Gundy is he's notoriously difficult on his coordinators.
Yeah, he's hard to work with. That's why I'm saying, like, no head coach is going to be like, I want this guy to come run my offense.
And so, but he's really down the depths of, like, he's hiring D3 guys as coaches, and it's kind of this situation where I don't want to call him a lame duck because he's not. They still will bring in guys, and I think he's a really good X and O coach. It's just, I don't know. Their upside as a program I don't think is as high as some others like a K-State and an Iowa State right now.
Avery Johnson almost threw for 300 yards. As you mentioned, Kansas State's getting going. 3 touchdowns for him through the air. He did not have a rushing attempt in the game, which I thought was interesting.
I need to watch that. It was obviously at the same time, but I would guess that was a plan by West Virginia to keep him in the pocket.
Yeah, it's just impressive to see him out there just using his arm exclusively in that 45-18 win. West Virginia seems toast. Cincinnati is a team we need to pay attention to.
Yep.
24-14 winners over Arizona State, where our guy Kenny Dillingham is now taking kicker applications. Did you see this?
No.
He's holding open tryouts on Arizona State's campus Monday morning. Just completely threw his kicker under the bus in this game.
Do you know that happened at Iowa State? Did you? This is 100% true.
Well, I know the story of when Leach did it. You need to tell me this one. I don't know exactly where you're going here.
So 2004, 2003, 2004, that era, Iowa State was so up against it due to a really bad offer to a kicker that never really played. I'm gonna leave him nameless. But you remember the rotating trio of, I think it was Brian Jansen, Scott Crava, and then Brett Culbertson.
Oh, I remember that.
All 3 were walk-ons. Culbertson literally
It was
tried
the
out.
little guy, right? Who was the kicker?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say his name because it's 20 years ago. Like, I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. He never really played. But
I remember that
Culbertson ended up just going to a practice and ended up being the guy and winning a couple games for Iowa State. Now he's a good dude.
Shaggy's great.
Shaggy.
You mentioned Kansas. Let's see. They get their first Big 12 win. We'll see if it's they're 2-5, which is still staggering to see that next to them. 42-14 over Houston.
I don't know if you saw this. They did finally release the tickets, which is great.
They're like jacked up, right?
But they doubled the price.
Yeah. So we're just gonna wait on them, right?
We're waiting them out. Yeah, we're not. I'm not.
Wait them out.
Do it.
Do not buy. Do not buy from these people.
Hold the line, everybody. Hold the line. Don't
know
panic.
when to hold them.
Did you see the
when
photo?
to fold them.
Like, if Aiden was producing, he'd pull up the photo. There were like 40 people at that game.
Really?
Yeah. It was sad. It was sad. So, yeah, don't. Now, if you have the discretionary income and you want to support the Kansas athletic program, go ahead.
I'm not.
But hold the line, please. Hold the line.
I was talking to Scott Edwards from Plaza RV this morning, and we were just saying, just wait and frickin' buy them like 5 minutes before the game. That place is not going to be sold out.
I would now, if it was Kansas, have enough of an ego that they're going to take the hit and keep the prices where they are, but somehow they're going to end up on the secondary market by in some manner. You know, would they be so prideful that they're not going to lower the price and just have Iowa State fans not be in there at all? Hold the line.
Colorado's a candidate to play in the Big 12 title game, are they not?
They are.
Maybe we should. Are they one of 4?
Let's pull them up. let's throw Colorado into the mix for now. What's the schedule
Remaining
for the Bucs?
schedule for Colorado: Cincinnati at home,
Okay.
at Texas Tech,
Okay. That'll be like 65 to 62.
Utah at home,
Yeah.
which they would be favored now,
Yep.
at Kansas,
Okay.
and home against Oklahoma State Thanksgiving weekend.
Ooh. All right. I mean, you got to look at them now.
Yeah, don't you?
You do. I think I don't think they're in the top 3, but I'm going to put them right there at 4 for sure in the possibilities. And so their only loss was to whom at this point? They obviously escaped Baylor.
Nebraska and Kansas State.
K-State, that's right. That's right, last week. So in the tiebreaker scenario, K-State's got the edge on them. BYU's got the edge on K-State. Iowa State has played neither of the 3.
You had is Whittingham in the Gundy situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a little bit different. Their quarterback situation is just bad.
13-7. I can't believe that score.
It was, and they could not do a thing. It was, I mean, Wilson looked deer in the headlights.
Because it's not like TCU's got this vaunted defense.
No. And I credit Sonny for button things up a little bit, but they got injuries at receiver, they got injuries at tight end now. They actually remind me a lot of Iowa a year ago. Like they're gonna have to win games 17-14 and hope to get a couple turnovers.
Isaac Wilson went 17 of 33. Yeah, they were bad. I'm just looking at these offensive numbers right now. So there you have it, man. Iowa State is literally in the driver's seat. I mean, they control their own destiny going into this bye week. I am really, really happy about the bye week. Much, much needed.
I would say that was what struck me most after the game was I'm exhausted. Everybody's exhausted. We all need a bye week. Everyone, like literally everybody on that Iowa State roster has dealing with something right now. It could not have lined up any better, which again,
it's another destiny thing.
Yes, right? Exactly. If Iowa State was playing a game next week, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want a part of it.
What a whole deal. A couple other shout outs I wanted to give across the board. One, I went to,
and I got an update on injury. I got an injury update too. I don't think the Bramer thing is scary as once feared.
It looked horrible.
It did.
And for those who haven't heard the Hansen one, I was told he could have even gone back in. Like he wasn't medically being held out. They kind of just pulled him out. I would think that he's going to be okay. It sounded like an ankle.
Yep.
But I was watching them the whole game, and like Hansen had his helmet on the whole time.
He was trying. I was watching him too. It looked like he wanted to go back in, but they're like, so shout out on that end to Abu. I thought Abu
he played
fantastic.
Great. His best game of the year, right?
He was fantastic. When you needed him in a big time spot, he was great.
Told these people, don't bury Abu.
Don't bury Abu.
He was really, really good. Yeah. The whole weekend was great. We've had awesome weather, which helps. Like we deserved. There was that one year, like 2 years ago, where it just like rained every home game. It feels like. I took the kids to the Cyclone volleyball game on Friday night, which was incredible. What a fun time! Like that is high level volleyball is tough to match in my mind. Like it's a great sport, and they really did an awesome job. They had a pink out that night, and my oldest daughter was starstruck. She saw the Cyclone women's basketball team sitting in front of us, which she was fired up about. But just a really good all-around weekend, I thought, Names.
It was, and men's basketball had a secret scrimmage that wasn't so secret. We can give a little update on.
You got a little update for us?
A little update. A little update?
I heard Keyshawn Gilbert was the best player on the floor.
And it wasn't close. And I think Keyshawn doesn't get talked about enough because he's just kind of, he's Taman, and then Curtis was so good there and was kind of the energizer guy. You forget how consistent Keyshawn was in some big moments a year ago. Anyway, Iowa State played Creighton yesterday and won by a point. Iowa State was without 2 of its posts, more precautionary than anything. Don't read into it. But Keyshawn Gilbert, I think, had 35. 35 points.
35 is what I heard, yeah.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good. Taman was in double figures as well, and then one other Cyclone was also in double figures. I'm drawing a blank, but Iowa State purposely, again, obviously defense, you don't like giving up 82. I'm going to guess without knowing everything. Kalkbrenner for Creighton had a big game from what I heard. Again, he's huge, and Iowa State was without two of its best posts.
Yeah, down two guys.
Don't read too much into that. Iowa State's going to be good. I think that's what I heard from one of the Creighton coaches was, oh man, Iowa State's really good. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean that's the vibe I got too. And they play, I think, Northwestern.
Oh, this weekend. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Northwestern coming up this weekend. Yeah, maybe this would be a good week for us to really dig into basketball. Don't you think? Maybe on Wednesday we could do like our hoops preview.
I think it's great. Yeah, so the other Taman at 10, Curtis Jones with 14 points. Iowa State was called for 25 fouls. Therefore, the score got a little
yeah, I heard that they weren't. I heard they weren't happy with the defense, so that's good. Again, like these early season things, if everything's perfect, I would have a bigger problem with it. Like you want to.
Do you know who's on Creighton,
it's
by the
great
way?
to have McDermott over there too, where you can just play a top 15 team in a scrimmage, and the coaches are completely in sync with everything they've got going on. Like you're playing one of the elite offenses in college basketball every year for a scrimmage. It's perfect and great for them because you get to see a really good defense.
You got it, and they're good. I mean, they'll be top 15 most of the year. You know who's on Creighton? Our buddy Pop Isaacs.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I'll be damned. I'm getting my blue ribbon yearbook this week. I am so. Normally by now I could do my own like preseason top 25 and ready to go. Speaking of that, we'll get back to football real quick. Did you have a problem with Iowa State dropping in the rankings after the game? It's completely irrelevant to me, but I saw of course some people are amped up about it.
I'm just expecting at this point. It doesn't make sense. There's logically very little sense of why Clemson, who has lost a game, Notre Dame, who has lost a game, should be ranked ahead of Iowa State, other than perception. But then what I would argue is, what does perception matter? I mean, yes, Clemson and Notre Dame have more 4- and 5-star guys. So does Auburn and Florida State, and they're hot trash. So do we just selectively apply the talent argument, or do you have to play the game? I mean, the issue I have is with the Notre Dame beat reporter who put Iowa State at 18 and Notre Dame at 7. So clearly he has seen Notre Dame play, and he watched them lose at home to a 4-3 Northern Illinois team. At some point, doesn't the game result matter than the recruiting ranking? And
you'd think.
It's just like what do these schools have to do? If it's going to be the way it is, then I guess all we can do is call it out, and just yell at the clouds. But it just doesn't make sense to me.
But that Notre Dame beat reporter, did you see that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that guy.
He had him at 7, and Iowa State at 18.
Well, and then did you? My point is, did you look at his whole poll?
Yes.
The whole thing is completely it's the most extreme. We've just got this problem with the way we're doing this, and it's always been the same way. But the problem is, again, back in the day, the media has changed so much. Like the way everything works in this industry has changed, but we haven't changed the polls at all. We haven't updated the way we do any of this stuff. And these people, it's impossible for them to be objective. It's impossible for them to even watch all these. There's no way that guy was up watching that game last night. No, none.
And I will, the committee comes out, I believe on the 5th is the first actual rankings. That will tell us a lot. But I'm already, like we talked about, there's 9 SEC teams now ranked. So literally you have a chance of beating a ranked team half the time you play in that league. And it's only going to be used to their advantage. They're not going to say, oh, well.
No. Yeah, if you're an Iowa State fan, and you're, oh yeah, it's great, Bama got another loss, or none of it matters. It doesn't matter.
Bama's gonna have to lose probably 2 more times to not get in at large, right? If they have 4 losses, I can't see.
Yeah, I mean, just beating.
3, they're Alabama. Oh, they have all these guys, and I love the argument, C-Dub, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. of, oh, well, if Iowa State played Clemson, Clemson would be favored. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
By
I mean, Iowa State was favored by 15 in some books yesterday and
right,
barely won. Right?
exactly.
It doesn't
It's
mean
like,
that's how it's going to end.
go. Like, at some point, you have to put something on the actual results of the games. And if it's not that, then let's just have a 20-team invitational and run it from December to January 1, because that's essentially what it is then anyway. Let's just throw out the regular season.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in these people.
I don't either, and I know the committee should be more educated than the pollsters, right? And they will have time to actually look at data and analyze all this stuff. The thing is, C-Dub, if you look at the data, Iowa State's strength of record, which I think is a pretty good stat because it accounts not only your win-loss, but then also strength of schedule and your raw, yards per play stuff. I think Iowa State's 3 and BYU is 4, and yet this Yahoo has Iowa State at 18 and BYU at 20. It's like, what are you looking at?
His entire poll is completely extreme, and to one extent, it's like, oh, okay, the guy doesn't subscribe to groupthink, which is okay. But the problem is, it's like it makes a difference, though. That's the issue. Like it matters. Like if you look at it and you're like, oh, well, this guy's clearly very educated. I just don't believe that, and these jobs don't mean what they used to. So back in the day, it's like, oh, well, this guy at the South Bend Independent, I don't even know what the freaking newspaper is there. It used to be like these jobs used to be very prestigious, right? Like, oh, you have to really, like back in the day, if you wanted to be a NASCAR reporter, if you could get a job at the Charlotte newspaper, whatever the hell that is, that's a really big, high-end job where you had to work your whole career to get there, and that guy's got real chops. Well, not anymore, right? Like the legends will retire, and we'll hire a 25-year-old with no experience to replace them just to save the, publicly traded company some money. Like, it's not the same thing, but they still have the same clout when it comes to all this stuff. And that's what drives me nuts, because the fans don't necessarily understand that, and nor should they. Right? Like, this is clearly like an inside journalism thing that has me irked, but it makes a difference is the problem.
Yeah, when I saw one of the Iowa State players, is Malik Verdone, who's a super smart guy. The poll came out and he just had a laughing face emoji, as if, okay, like the players see it. It is what it is. And again,
it's all right. I would honestly, like from that standpoint, fine, put them 10. That's almost better than being 5th. In a way, just only in the sense of you go into your bye, and now Campbell can do the whole nobody respects this thing. Oh, by the way, did you see Kirby Smart after that game?
Yeah.
That
was unbelievable. Well, the whole
my part of was
nobody believes in us.
Nobody believes in us. ESPN's targeted us all week. Yeah. Jesus. These guys will tell themselves anything. They are shameless, these coaches. They are shameless. But and his point was, what in the hell? What was your take on that as an official?
Awful.
Blasphemy.
You gotta stick with your call there. I mean, the call was wrong, but you can't. I don't know. It didn't. That's not a good look. If you at least stick with your call. Honestly, Chris, it reminded me of the free throw situation at Kansas with Wayne Morgan back in 2004. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Where they gave Iowa State 2 free throws. Holman misses the front end, and then the guy goes down and makes it. Obviously, they screwed that up. Interestingly, on that, as the rule book plays out, that is allowed for that. Anyway, long story short, completely jobbed, and it just made it look like they were trying to appease the fans, and that's never a good situation.
Never
as
a good
official. Yeah.
No.
Like,
and then those Texas fans are losing their minds, and it was just like just bad.
I thought there was one official in particular last night for the Iowa State game that just refused to throw pass interference.
Oh my God, the sideline judge.
Yeah.
You know the real MVP was the dude in the back of the end zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was not going to throw it. Same guy all day would not throw a flag on UCF. It was unbelievable. But the guy on the last PI, at least he threw one. So anyway.
The other thing that was shocking to me, and I don't know if it was right or wrong, I didn't see anything like blatant that stood out to me, was the amount of rushes that they had. Did they have a holding call?
I don't remember one.
I don't either. It's just maybe they weren't. I don't even know. Like, I don't remember a spot where I'm like, oh, they missed that. My whole point is that's a wild stat. with the amount of,
I totally agree.
you know, like
I don't
even know how that happened.
I don't think Iowa State was called for a hold either. It's like no holding.
A lot of history in that game. I was talking to our friend of the program, Chris Andringa.
Yes, who's a great follow on Twitter if you aren't already.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure it out, and we could not. And then one of our great followers typed it into like Chat GPT. I don't, and this didn't technically happen, but we all saw what happened. Like there were 2 pick sixes, even if it didn't count as one.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. That was a rare mental error for Iowa State. You got to get on that football. No matter what.
Well, you do, and then just another example of dumb plays by football players in general, like how that happens still after all these years is unreal to me.
Get in the end zone. Yeah.
But the statistical anomaly of giving up 9.1 yards per carry, over 350 rushing yards, 2 pick sixes, and a missed PAT, and you still win. Like I don't think it's ever happened. I really don't. Like there's hardly any way to like find out, but AI can't find it. The last thing we found last night after the game, it was our friend Ryan Workman and Chip Andringa, Chip Andringa. Chip is his nickname. I was thinking of Skip from football. Sorry, I got all these guys with the last word.
And the chips and the
Skips and chips and yada yada yada. 1991, the game at Rice. Do you remember that game? We were pretty young. 91 at Rice. It was Kevin Lazard recovered an onside kick.
It's Alan's dad. Yeah.
And the Cyclones gave up 303 yards to the Owls and still won that game. It was pretty funny too. This is one of the great things about when you get to do that. I gave that stat to Eric Heft after the game, and Heft just, oh yeah, and he basically was like, yeah, and I had this for dinner that night.
Yeah,
you know, great place over there by the Rice campus, and yeah, we went there, and funny.
Meyer tweeted at me right after the game. Brett Meyer, the legend, and he's like, "Hey,
Bloom,
what are the numbers on somebody allowing 350 yards rushing and giving up 2 pick six?" And I just wrote, "Not great." I don't know. Not
truer
great.
Words of
not great.
Truer words have never been spoken. Yeah, put a bow on it though, and like it's that's what makes the win so great, because it shouldn't have happened.
Shouldn't have happened.
And you found a way to do it.
We have been on the other side of that before, so we're gonna enjoy. That's what just surreal. I mean, it was. I'm sitting in there, and with my little guys, like sold out stadium, undefeated Cyclones, top 10 in the country. Like pregame, I was juiced, and then the game happens, and you're like, oh my gosh, here it goes. I mean, I can't have been the only one that thought, okay, is this when the whole Destiny season ends? And then to have it come back in that manner adds an extra layer of special to whatever is next for this ride. So
yeah, I think
this will be the greatest bye week of all time, because we can just soak it in, everybody.
It was one of the better Jack Trice ever. I would put it there with Oklahoma State in 11. They were down 17 in that game.
Yeah.
There's so much more on the line here, but that thing, you forget about how monumental that was.
Correct.
With the BCS and all that stuff, right? Like it.
This was different,
but
because
that crowd wasn't the same. Like, you're right. It was like Friday night. It was late, and a lot of people there.
This was the weight of expectations that were just weighing on everybody, more so than the shock of beating a team that you're supposed, like different circumstances, but both release at the end of the game was the same. And I think that's what everybody felt.
Well, it's that time.
Oh, you don't even need a producer to at least hit the button, though. That's good.
Can't do while I'm hosting. It is time for Guess the Point Spreads. We are presented by our friends at Webwise. Try webwise.com today. All right, quiet weekend in the Big 12 coming up, which is great. I feel like we all need a little quiet, but we're going to go through the point spreads for other big games as well. Do you have a feel for the Iowa Northwestern game? Do you even care?
Wow. Don Hassel going to watch this one, or is he giving up?
I don't know. I'm thinking Don's probably pretty checked out at this point, but
I had the amount of people that came up
Oh,
to me
God.
yesterday. Is just Don Hassel really dislike you? Like, I've never talked to Don. I don't know. Inside Twitter joke, but great to see everybody in the lots. I was funny. I made me feel really old, C-Dub. I'm walking on the bridge after the game, and someone's overhearing the conversations. The college kid. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the guy from YouTube." And I was like, "What?
Oh
What are
my
you talking
God.
about?" Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, you're the guy from YouTube, like the CFTV thing." I'm like, "He's like, yeah, I
It's
just
so
I
funny.
recognize your voice." He's
the
like,
YouTube thing is completely taken off.
it's, and I was like, "No," I was like, "I guess, yeah. Nice to meet you, good guy."
It's not going to be very long where more people watch us on YouTube compared to listening.
It was it's funny because I was like, I'm a slappy, don't but he was having a good night. So
All right,
thank
don't
you
worry
for
about
listening.
that game.
Yeah, what is that line? Is it like 5 or
14
6?
and a half.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how bad is Northwest?
That was going to be, we did that on the show on Thursday where I had projected point spreads, and it was going to be 17. And Iowa's just getting stomped by Michigan State, probably crushed their power rating quite a bit. Okay, let's find some games of interest for Iowa State.
Just real quick on them. Do you know who's not helping Iowa State's cause right now?
Who? Yeah, no, definitely not. Our friends at Oklahoma, they are at Ole Miss.
Oh boy, 26.
20 and a half. So you're going to go and
I'm all over.
play
Ole
some
Miss.
money on the Rebels. What about our friends at Notre Dame? They got to go to Navy.
This is tricky. Does Notre Dame play both Navy and Army?
I don't know.
That could help both. That could actually. That's interesting. Notre Dame a 9-point favorite there.
11 and a half.
Okay.
Okay. BYU at Central Florida. 4-0,
Wow.
top 10 versus 0-4. What do you think the point spread is?
Wow. UCF beat TCU though, didn't they?
Oh, good point. Yeah, sorry.
Anyway.
Doesn't-
BYU 3.5.
2.
Beware BYU.
That is
We're on Cougar alert, everybody.
Do you want to go and
Mm-hmm.
put some money on UCF right now?
My concern is they still can't throw the ball. But
I know, but
generally that helps the cause.
or was that their last stand? Could be that too. It could be that too.
Now that's a long road trip for BYU though. That's multi-time zone. Just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. I'm in on UCF. Let's go. We're riding on that one. Yeah, for sure.
Oklahoma State at Baylor. You got Dave Aranda now, and what a shocking, not altogether shocking that they beat Texas Tech, but putting up 59. What is this, like Baylor 10 years ago?
Where's that game?
Waco.
Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Baylor 3.
4.5.
Okay. I'm good with it.
Just keep an eye on these. I'm going to give you just ones that impact Iowa State in general.
Yeah.
Missouri at Alabama, I feel like, is a game we need to watch.
For sure. For sure. This is an elimination game. Well, probably not. They'll just say, oh, the SEC is really good. Anyway, Alabama's a 7-point favorite.
13.5.
Wow. Missouri had to escape big time yesterday, though. So
Game of the week for Iowa State to watch, other than that BYU Central Florida, Texas Tech at TCU.
TCU 4.
6.
Okay.
That's
Not a great day.
I don't know. I got to go watch that Tech game, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a surprising number to me.
Well, they can't stop anything now. I mean, you can't give up 60 at home to Baylor.
I mean, are you impressed by TCU's offense?
No, I'm not. That's an indictment on Tech more than anything. You can't give up 60 points at home to Baylor.
Tech's screwing this up. I really wanted them to come in undefeated.
That could have been a national.
Yeah, I know. That
Still
could have been
might
like,
be.
oh, Big Noon's never been to Ames. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not now. You know, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yep.
The old school big rivalry game, Florida State at Miami.
Jeez.
Not kidding. That doesn't really impact us. I just think it's funny that's
Miami's another one of those teams. Like, look at they have escape.
they just keep skating by
They keep-
everything.
and they just like, oh well, they're good. They got talent. It's like, come on.
You don't need to guess that point spread. That's
I bet it's like 20.
21. Good job. Utah is at Houston. This is a scary spot for the Utes.
Oh, no.
This is a terrifying spot for Utah's going to lose this game.
I don't know. They're not very good. The Houston's. The over-under on
Willie
this thing,
Fritz, man.
this over-under should be like 17
You think
and a
Willie
half.
Fritz? You've seen the Houston defense. You think they won't be prepared for that Utah offense?
No, I know. No, you're right. That's what I'm saying. The over-under should be like 17 and a half because there's no way Houston can move the ball though on those guys. Like they are awful on offense.
Yeah, they're terrible too.
This is Utah at 6.
4.
What's that over-under? Do you have it?
I can get it.
I hope
38.
Yeah, see, it's got to be under 40.
All right, what else we got here? West Virginia at Arizona. Boy, I hope you guys took our advice and bet that
Yikes.
Arizona under.
We
in,
will
like,
collective.com if you want to get
Yeah,
a
put those-
tax-deductible donation. We do have a matching drive to the end of the month, $60,000.
Still can't believe those people that thought that team would compete for a title. I mean,
No, we lack critical thinking in this nation.
no, because they go, wow, well, they have a really good receiver and a quarterback.
No, they must be good.
Well, okay, they have like 50 new players. It's the same as with the Washington deal.
And that's
They
why-
can't compete in the Big Ten when you have all those new players. It's impossible.
And that's why Iowa State is really good this year. Did you see the stat? How many players for Iowa State have played this year?
Yeah, 101.
That is nuts. That is nuts. Like, it takes, we've seen it. When you get this many injuries, and injuries are becoming more and more prevalent, you need depth. And that's why these schools that bring in all these transfers and forget about the actual other part of a program build are getting exposed. Anyway, what's this game again? Arizona and West Virginia. No, neither team wants to be there, Bull.
That's in Tucson.
Arizona is a 5-point favorite.
2. The Neil Brown save your job game.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if
do
it's
that.
possible. I think they're so done on him.
They had I saw it on the internet. They were hired somebody to fly around the stadium for the game yesterday, saying, "Aren't we just all having fun?" Question mark by Neil Brown. Things are not going great in Morgantown.
The battle for the Sunflower State, Kansas at Kansas State. Any chance that the Jayhawks...
Yes. They're a live dog here.
Live dog, okay.
Yep. 13 points here, right?
10.
Beware the Jayhawks here.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Lance, again, we've given Lance a hard time this year.
I like
still
Lance.
good.
I think he's a really good coach. Cincinnati at Colorado, Big 12 after dark,
Wow.
9:15 kick.
2 one-loss teams here.
Mm-hmm.
This is an elimination game of sorts. Colorado 8.
4.
Ooh,
Isn't that a surprising line?
That's sneaky.
That's a surprising
That's
that and the
Cincinnati's,
TCU game.
Hey.
Both those lines surprised me.
Cincinnati's raw data is really good, really really good.
But then
You're
you
gonna-
watch them and you're just not blown away by it.
I'm with you, but their power ratings continue to.
They remind me of BYU and light a little bit because you watch BYU and I'm just like not blown away by this team, but then they just keep doing good things.
They're just Cincinnati's just continuing to kind of boring their way through and not inspiring, but they've been solid.
Guess the point spreads presented as always by Webwise.
Webwise.
Try webwise.com. All right, bye week, Bloom. We will do a basketball focus show on Wednesday. We will also, of course, preview the Big 12 slate as we do each and every week on Williams and Bloom Wednesday. I hope you had a great weekend, everybody. It was great getting to meet a lot of you. We got the Bloom bobblehead. Shout out to Willinga. That was cool. Did you have any idea that was coming?
No
Oh
idea.
yeah, your wife has been keeping me updated on that for a while.
They built or they repurposed a bobblehead in my likeness. Just
It's a little bit terrifying. Where is that thing going?
Well, if anybody has any ideas, let me know. It's currently in my garage. It will end up on the Amish bench as soon as tomorrow for a photo shoot. However, I think the bobbleheads want to know, so the bobblehead has to go to Tailgate again next game, right? So we might do like a Where's Waldo with the bobblehead.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And just people can rent them out for
just keep it away from Don Hassle's
grass. Otherwise, going to get beheaded. No, Willinga, you're the best, pal. That was
he's a good dude.
He's an incredible guy. So thank you very much. And now all the people that stopped by and at our tailgate, we had an epic day yesterday.
We did. I wanted to give a shout out to the guys from Westo as well.
Yeah,
really fun talking with them. And I tried their new beer,
the Blood Orange
for the wrestling program.
Yes.
That's a really good beer. Like I like the Ames Lager too. Of course, I thought that beer really scratched me right where I itch, especially on a day. It just tasted really good on a fall day.
It should be available in most stores now, same as Ames
That's
Lager.
A good beer.
The more we
good
can
job.
help our friends at Ames Lager and Westo, the better. Also, shout out, I saw you got a picture with Barnes Farms.
Yes.
The Barnes
the Barnes family.
It's so cool.
You know what's crazy?
I love this place, man.
Craziest ass story. So I'm in Memphis last year for the bowl game. And I took our staff out on this little we'll get together. We don't do like Christmas party much anymore. So it was just like, hey, I'll buy everybody's drinks. Let's go out and team building, whatever. We're at this dive ass bar in Memphis, like, and there's these 4 Iowa State fans by us, this, middle-aged folks, just like you and me are. And we start chatting, and it was great. I had so much fun with these people. Invited them into our party the next night at Jerry the King Lawler's. They come. We had a great time. It was Ryland Barnes' folks and their friends. And I didn't know that's who I had hung out with that night. So I met these people. They were great people. You met them too. They came to the event.
Yeah,
but they really, really good people. I am working on a Ryland, and I really hope that I want this to be our best selling shirt we've ever done. I want to do a Ryland Barnes shirt. We talked about this on Wednesday, and make this walk on some money. I think it's so cool that we can do this now. He was really good, dude. I was looking at his Pro Football Focus grades today. He was one of the highest graded out players on Iowa State's roster this week.
I did find it interesting that both him and Brzezina played together, and it was Barnes in the middle.
I thought that was interesting too.
This is interesting. I'm not taking a whole lot from it. Ellis didn't play a lot. I don't know.
That was so weird how they put him in at the end of the game.
I agree. I thought it was because he hurt. I would like some. I have some questions about that. We'll try and get to the bottom of it.
Well, I wonder if they just wanted to keep him out for injury purposes, and then they're like, "Okay, dude, sorry, you got to go in." I don't know.
Because I need to look at the snap counts again. But you're right, Barnes. Again, the defense wasn't as bad as it appears. It wasn't good. But no, neat story. C-Dub, I agree. Let's get a Barnes thing going. Because honestly, guys, those are what's going to separate Iowa State in this new era. Is as it's coming, where these schools are going to actually trim down roster sizes, where Iowa State can find the Moneyball approach is getting those tweeners and keeping them engaged. So just to that point, Iowa State's played 101 guys. Next year, you get a max of 105 on your roster total. Iowa State is 125 on the roster now. That's the issue here. Iowa State's going to basically have to get rid of 20 spots next year. So everybody's talking about these schools, increasing the scholarship limit. Truth be told, it's a roster limit. And so your walk-on programs will largely be changed forever. But if you have a good one and you can be selective of your best 105 guys that all can contribute, like Ryland Barnes, then you're going to have a little bit of an advantage. I truly think that's the secret sauce for Iowa State to continue to be successful, is the depth in numbers through that walk-on and preferred walk-on program. So shout out to Hoosier as well.
Yeah, no, and then just across the board, there's just so many young guys playing, and
it's crazy. Yeah.
Which, that's the the thing about that stat on the 101, I would love to have a comp. Like how many, like in a normal year on October 20th, how many guys? I would love to know that. I'm going to ask about that.
Yep,
actually.
let's find that out. It just seems like that's an extreme number because Chris, you only travel 70.
Mm-hmm.
So to have 30 players that don't travel to play, and again, some of it against Arkansas State was in mop-up time, but still, like that's a lot of numbers there, and it's why Iowa State has been able to be successful. Is because when all these injuries pile up, you need to have guys that are ready to go, and that's why it's interesting. And we're going long here, but it's interesting that Iowa State plays so many guys in the early weeks. Like even against Iowa State's rolling out at second and third teamers, knowing that this is going to happen, where attrition will come. And that's the story of Matt Campbell. I don't think it's brought up enough. Is a lot of people say, hey, you're really slow starting in September. Well, there's a method to it because they're trying to get all these guys up to speed to get to October and November. And now you're in a really good spot. Even though you do have injuries, you've got depth there. And your depth is probably better than about anybody else you're going to play the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. 7-0.
7-0.
The varsity football program at Iowa State is 7-0 and ranked number 10 in the country. You need to go and tell your friends. Send them a postcard.
Get this, guys, and we'll be all the way till November 1st.
Yeah. That's why I love the bye week. Can't lose.
Can't lose.
Can't lose. Although the Vikings did lose, so my perfect season, my perfect season is gone. But, I'd rather Iowa State be undefeated, if I'm being honest. Yeah. He is Brent Blum. My name is Chris Williams. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Stay tuned. I know that Jeff and Grant have a great show planned for you guys on Monday night when they record. Of course, Jacqueline, Colin, Jake, and Jirel will have their program for you as well, and all of our other programming coming up later in the week here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.